means to be a kind of entrepreneur of your own identity. So, hello, sorry about that, technical problems. Yes, as Kate said, I'm Myia. I'm a jewellery designer and I work from Hatton Garden. It is the district for jewellery in London. It's nicknamed Diamond Street because of the abundance of diamonds and jewellery and jewellers that kind of all flock there. And diamonds are the foreground to my work. I'm really interested in them. The whole way that they're a precious stone, but that's kind of not as true as people believe it is. It's all down to a really clever marketing. So diamonds are found in abundance, really, and they have quite little intrinsic value, but they're really perceived as a high-value item, mainly because a company has taken over the market and controls it. They're still a beautiful stone. I love working with them. They're absolutely gorgeous. A couple of facts about diamonds. They are like the strongest natural material known to man. There are other strong materials, but they're man-made. Only a diamond can cut a diamond. And a diamond is 58 times harder than the next hardest mineral on Earth. I thought that was pretty cool. So from that, those kind of facts, I started looking into the molecular structure of the diamond and how the molecules are formed together, and found that really interesting. And this was one of my first pieces. It's called Diamond Ring 1. So it's the molecular structure onto a ring. I'm also quite interested in looking at the cuts and shapes of diamonds. So you can get loads of different cuts and shapes. And from that I designed my own cuts, which I call the classic cut. It's kind of looking at the diamond side on. From that, I kind of forged both together. Like, I made my own structure of diamond, which is an 8-point, completely 3D diamond. It's about 8 centimetres tall. I think you can see it in this one. It was quite big. This was one of my projects at university. I was also interested in the fact that it's the hardest material, and I created this ring, which is called Diamond for a Day. It's made from perspex, and you can only really wear it for a day. So it was kind of playing on the idea of like worth and wearability, really. So after I created these pieces, I graduated from Middlesex University, and I showed my jewellery at my graduate show and new designers and things, and they were taken like really well, like quite. I mean, they're wearable, but they're also kind of art pieces in their own right. Like, if you wore that, yeah, it'd break. But it was also seen as an object, which I find quite interesting, that jewellery can be an object too. After I graduated, there was lots of different avenues I could go down. I could go into like craft, which is like mainly exhibiting in exhibitions and craft galleries. Or I could go commercial and go into shops and boutiques. And I entered a competition called the EC1 and Sign Competition, and it was open to any graduate who just graduated from jewellery in the UK. And I won it. And this was really great. I think they just liked my ideas, because obviously my jewellery was quite big. So what I really won was I won their help and their support to kind of help my jewellery become commercial. So with EC1, they helped me to develop this classic diamond collection where we scaled down the jewellery completely. It's quite small, like this is the biggest piece. There's a couple there as well. And from then, I then designed this collection, which is called Brilliant. Brilliant Diamond collection. So the Brilliant Diamond is the most coveted diamond used in jewellery, really. It's used for every traditional engagement ring. It's the most popular, really, mainly because of the way that the facets are. They're so multifaceted that the diamond shines amazingly. So I kind of took that idea and took inspiration from the cuts, but turned it on its head and kind of created something really graphic, which kind of it really celebrates the cut rather than the stone. So some of my pieces have been worn by celebrities, like this is Ellie Goulding wearing the earrings. This is a piece I designed for the Queen's Diamond Jubilee. It sits around the neck like a collar. I took inspiration for the Queen's love of pearls and things like that. This is my jewellery in New magazine. I think that was 2 years ago. Yeah. So I got a bit of success, I guess. People were liking my work. I'd been around and used as much as I can to get my jewellery out there. And then a couple of years ago, I went through something that I hope no designer ever goes through, and a big high store chain, fashion chain, stole one of my designs, which it happens a lot, but you don't hear about it, which I think is really wrong. Like either the designer doesn't see it, or they just don't have the money, or they're not they're just too scared to do anything about it. So what I decided to do is I went to Facebook and Twitter, and I made this and tried to get people on board to say that this is not right, this is happening, this is not right, it should not happen. And I got loads of retweets and loads of shares from it. I was a bit reserved about doing it because it is kind of bad publicity, I thought, in a way. It could have been, but I just felt like I had to do it, I had to do that. But I think it worked really well in my favour, everyone was really supportive, and yeah, those earrings have become quite known for those earrings, so that's quite good. Also, a couple of years ago, I completely rebranded myself and created my own typeface, which I call Facet. It's also inspired by the cuts and shapes and diamonds. And I make jewellery that is, so they're all machine engraved, and you can personalise it with anything you want, have like diamonds set into them and things like that. This is one of the signet rings in the Stylist. That was a couple of months, no, last month, that was Valentine's Day. That's quite cool. And I also designed a necklace to support breast cancer, really. I think it's really important as a designer to kind of do as much help as I can. And so I decided to do a necklace with a pink sapphire where most of the proceeds go towards breast cancer. This is Kate Hudson wearing one of my signet rings. That was really good. I also think it's really important to get my work shown and seen. So there's a list of some of the exhibitions I've been in. I'm trying to focus getting my jewellery seen everywhere, really, anywhere and everywhere that I can. But it is quite hard to kind of select where to show my work, because you can kind of get put into a certain category if you do one thing, or a certain category if you do another. But yeah. And recently I've been designing engagement wedding rings, which I think is one of the funnest things to do, because you're actually working with someone else. I work completely alone. So all of the designs that you've seen, I just reproduce them all by myself. No one else is involved. And it gets quite lonely in a way. So when I allow people to come into my studio, customers and other people who have their ideas of what they want to make, it's quite nice for me to kind of step away from my work and think about something else for a bit. So this is one of my favourite pieces I've made recently. It's a 1 carat oval diamond with a twisted band and twisted setting, which you can't really see. But yeah, I also do wedding rings and yeah, that's me.
I've got a question. Yeah. So you say you go to lots of exhibitions, but then you're quite active on social media, you do stuff like this. Where do you find that most people come to know your name and know your jewellery? I mean, is it just wandering around, they see it in a window, or do they contact you directly, or is it exhibitions?
Yeah, so I have about 20 UK stockists. So a lot of my customers do see my work in those shops and then come to me, or I get a lot of customers come to me through Twitter and Facebook, online, and also word of mouth is the best thing for anything. Like if someone knows you or knows of you and knows your work, that you're a good craftsman, that's the best kind of publicity you could ever get. So, yeah.
So a lot of people that come to the field sessions are quite interested in kind of startups and entrepreneurialism and, you know, how can you follow your passions and go and kind of make it into reality. Do you have any kind of tips for, you know, obviously you've kind of started up your own business and been really successful. Have you got any jewellery or beyond, any tips for like, you know, what you should definitely look for and what you should do to make that journey?
Yeah, just be persistent with people, really. I don't know, I think if you've got a good design and you're quite confident about it, I think other people are going to believe in you. If you're kind of like not as happy with it, or I think development is a key because my work has changed so much in 4 years. I'm just developing and developing. It could be something I've done 3 years ago and I'll go back to it tomorrow. I'm constantly redeveloping and really trying to make something how I really want to see it, and I won't release it until it's perfect.
About the time with Jewellery where they study design, is there any legal way you can patent or protect your designs?
There is, but it's really expensive. It's about, I'd say, £100 per design, and when you're designing a collection that can have 12 to 15 pieces in it, that's a lot of money for a new designer like me. But there is something called, it's called design protection, whereby as long as you have proof that you designed it before them, you still have a legal case against them, which I won. So through that, I don't think you actually need to patent everything unless you think it's absolutely amazing. I mean, unless you think someone's going to steal it off you, or it's because my pieces are not a process, it's more of just a shape. They thought, oh yeah, we can just take that. It's a lot easier and harder to protect.
Also, one more question. Oh, sorry, no, you go.
When you said you won, so you wrote to the Jewellery Perkins?
I have a lawyer, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because I used to work at River Island, and the lawyer there used to get lots of people, you know, so there is a process for doing it.
Yeah, it was very lengthy. It took about 6 months, and it was highly stressful. But yeah.
Did you get compensation?
I'd like to say yes, but the compensation funded the lawyer. But it was a compensation. I was just glad I won. That was the main thing. I didn't want to take it any further. But yeah.
I've got one more question. It's actually in reference to like Dorothy Perkins and big business and general like craft within big business. Do you think, personally, that, say Dorothy Perkins were to come to, or any other big brand were to come to you and ask you to sort of collaborate with them to create something that's effectively mass-produced, but your designs, do you think that takes away from the artistry or the process of what you create? Because what you do now is obviously quite hands-on, you have control, it's very personal, whereas if you sort of give it off to a mass-produced process, is there a loss there? Is that a loss you consider taking?
You lose the look of it. Like with the earrings, you could see they were base metal, they're horrible. Whereas mine are made in silver or gold. I hand finished everything, so it comes up as a beautiful shine. And if they were to have come to me, I would have maybe said, yeah, we could design a collection together. I'm more than willing to do that. But it's just the fact that they stole from me that would like really hurt me, and also kind of hurt my business in a way. But I tried to turn that on its head and make it into something positive out of something negative.
Thank you. My design's at the front as well. I'll just go and have a look. Or see, contact
Thank you for coming.
Yeah. No, thank you for coming. Thank you.